going to read now from the Tao of Bob, which you can order at taoofbob.com, taoofbob.com. And I'm going to read a chapter called Be Delightful. Many years ago, I created a motto to live by: be delightful. You don't even need to read studies, though they exist, about the boomerang effect of bringing joy to others. Try it yourself and get immediate results. This can be as simple as smiling at a stranger who almost always will smile back, which elevates good brain chemistry for both of you. Mostly, though, it's just fun to be delightful. This is one reason why I, introvert, nevertheless engage strangers in conversation. I really do want to know how my grocery store cashier is doing. I really do want a passerby to know her dress looks cute. I really do take joy in retrieving a dropped toy from the ground, handing it back to the carriage-bound toddler that tossed it, along with a few gurgling sounds and a goofy face as I do. Bob is the picture of be delightful every day. He is super consistent. He laughs a lot. He makes me laugh a lot. Listening to stories of the challenges he faced in his long life, especially the last couple of years before moving to the ranch, I understand that he once reached a point of not being able to be delightful for some time. His delightfulness had not entirely left him, but rather went dark when pushed up against long days in a nursing home watching his wife slowly slip away. Ranch life brings back the delight. I need look no further than his giddy demeanor to verify this, but further evidence exists. I am in the habit of following Bob around with my phone, snapping pictures of him on the lawnmower with the horses, eating the occasional hearty meal, playing checkers. There is a Benjamin Button quality to this collection, and his increasingly healthy glow is due to more than just the Texas sun. Running the ranch breathes new life into him. He didn't look a day over 80 when he arrived. Now he appears closer to 70. I feel more alive than I did when I was 21, he tells me often. He cannot resist being silly. One day, when I'm hosting a summer writing camp for kids in the barn, the door swings open unexpectedly. In saunters Bob, face masked by a bandana like some movie bandito. Wielding a Nerf gun, he swaggers over to my pleasantly confused charges, teenagers clearly not accustomed to having an old prankster in their midst. "Stick 'em up," says Bob, and laughs, prompting the same in the kids. More delightfulness shows up as a truly hilarious side effect of discovering a great way to ease Bob's neuropathy symptoms, to alleviate the severity of the burning in his legs and feet by introducing him to the wonders of THC. Marijuana has changed drastically over the past couple of decades, with different strains providing different nuanced effects. With legalization occurring across a growing number of states, so is acceptance that this is not a mere recreational drug, but a plant with plenty of medicinal benefits. Alcohol having been my preferred poison, I never was a big fan of weed, mostly because when I did experiment with it years ago, each time I invariably confirmed this truth: I am a lousy stoner. I get stupid, slurry, sleepy, tongue-tied. During my time with Peter, though, I took to smoking a little. At first, I resisted when he offered me hits off the joints he smoked throughout the day. My refusal was in large part due to my aforementioned lightweight reaction to the stuff. Also, having quit drinking in my 30s, I wondered if getting high might count as some black mark against my sobriety. Eventually, I loosened up and partook, came to enjoy how it slowed me down. Did I rationalize using marijuana to have a shared interest with Peter, or was I simply pursuing a non-addictive means of relaxation? Quite possibly both. Slowly my resistance built, and I made up my mind that having a few evening tokes was not a bad thing at all. Though initially discreet around Bob, I ascertained fairly quickly he has no opposition to my usage. When I mention pot, he does not recoil, lecture, or even seem to care. Instead, he expresses curiosity and recounts a workday in his youth when he and some friends drank some of his homemade cherry wine during lunch. Over-fermentation or some other alchemical reaction caused hallucinations. I kept trying to pull my hand off like a glove, he says, grinning and reenacting that day, holding up his arm, pretending to peel off his palm and fingers. Armed with the knowledge that at some point in his life he enjoyed mind-altering activities, even if it was just once, inadvertent, and half a century prior, I half-jokingly leave a joint out on the table for him one day. It disappears. Eventually he reveals he smoked it and liked it. His admission leads me to some conversations with a friend who uses THC to control severe chronic pain, an alternative to the opioids Big Pharma is so fond of getting people hooked on. My friend assures me that Bob, too, will notice positive results if he starts using some form of marijuana regularly. Bob says he's game, and so we begin experimenting to figure out the best delivery system for him. Toking weed does not serve him well, given the COPD he developed after smoking cigarettes for decades, a habit he started at age 8, and likes to say he quit cold turkey during open heart surgery. Edibles are a little too dicey, with the potential for an unpredictably strong hit that could last hours and be accompanied by an uncomfortable sort of paralysis, with a top note of paranoia. An oil pen is relatively to his liking, but still not easy enough on the lungs. Ultimately, we go with capsules, coming up with just the right dosage to ease some of his discomfort without making him too loopy. A little leery to embark on this adventure when the rubber actually hits the road, and I present him with the first batch, he agrees to try when I, gesturing to our supply, say I'll gladly take one for the team. Observing me send a pot pill down the hatch, emboldened, he follows suit. Within a half hour, we are both insisting the pills have had very little effect. This Mary Jane ain't doing nothing, Bob says, although a video of our maiden voyage, which thankfully does not exist, might inspire a different opinion in anyone viewing it as we sit and giggle, losing our place in the conversation repeatedly, neither of us at first making the connection between our pot pill party and my sudden need to dash off to the kitchen to procure the crunchiest, saltiest snacks I can forage to sate appetites that have sprung up from nowhere. We're hardly Cheech and Chong, but we do enjoy our happy hours, getting a little evening buzz on and watching a TV station Bob stumbled on, which seemingly only plays movies featuring either Elvis Presley or Diana Ross. He sits in his lazy boy, leaning back as the burn in his legs and feet quiets. I sit on his bed a couple of feet away, knitting very, very slowly, aware that my altered state makes me more mistake-prone. Sometimes we switch channels and indulge in some Walker, Texas Ranger. Before Bob moved in, though I'd heard of the show, I'd not ever seen it, nor had I seen Chuck Norris perform in any other capacity. Bob loves Chucky Baby, as he sometimes calls him, loves educating me on Mr. Macho. Walker reruns play back-to-back on Friday nights, and we often while away hours watching Buzz, with Bob providing side-splitting running commentary. Chucky looks like he has bad breath, he says one night. He loves how a band of 15 villains with assault rifles can come charging at Walker, who, wielding only a handgun of mad martial arts skills, subdues all of them in mere moments. Did you ever notice how he kicks the shit out of the bad guys all the time and never loses his hat? Bob asks. One night I ask, hey Bob, did the credits just say Chuck Norris sings the theme song? He grins, if you can call that singing. My favorite narration comes during an episode with a plot ridiculous even by Walker standards. And if you've not ever seen the show, you must take my word that it is never not over the top. This time, though, the writers have outdone themselves. Bob, familiar with the episode, I suspect he's seen it at least 200 times before, perks up during a hyperdramatic scene and lets loose a spoiler. No wonder nobody can find Sasquatch, he says. Chucky already killed him. Now the bear's eating him. Confused at first, thinking this bit about Sasquatch is a Bob fabrication created to amuse me, I very nearly pee my pants moments later to discover, no, not a joke, Sasquatch really does make a cameo. The more we watch together, the more hooked on Chucky Baby I become. Add another one to the Father First list then. Joyful viewing time together. The only memory I have of watching a movie with my own father was one Christmas Eve as he, prone on the couch, yelled at me about how poorly I was placing tinsel on the tree as the bells of St. Mary's played on the big fake wood console in the corner. In my healing journey, it never would have dawned on me that such a basic thing as TV nights might help my heart. Bob, clever life professor, shows me otherwise. One night, when we opt for playing stone checkers over stone watching Mahogany for the 12th time, or Walker for the 1000th, something seems off. Either we have again forgotten to eat, or I have managed to pull from our hidden stash not one but two supplements that hold a heavier THC dose than that to which we have grown accustomed. Whatever resistance we have built up is no match for the sudden confusion that engulfs us. In mere moments, we transform from relatively cognizant human beings to space aliens, obliterated out of our minds, our once familiar surroundings suddenly having morphed into a strange new planet. We sit across from each other, perched sideways on the edge of his bed, me at the headboard, he at the foot, staring in shared stupor at the checkerboard resting between us, admiring the beautiful pattern of squares. We have forgotten entirely how the game works, looking at the black and white discs for clues, unsure whose turn it is. Comfortably numb is an understatement. We try to speak. We cannot. Nor can we stop giggling. An urgent need to sleep washes over me. I tell Bob I have to go, but not before I help him to his feet so he can go to the bathroom, take out his teeth, and don his pajamas. I want to monitor him until he is safely beneath the covers because it's all fun and games until a near 90-year-old falls on his skinny stone butt and breaks a hip. Bob continues to laugh uproariously. "Help me," he says, stretching his arms out. As soon as I grasp his wrists and gently tug him forward, he purposefully transforms himself into rubber and melts backwards toward the mattress, disallowing me to gain purchase. He laughs louder. I can't pull him to his feet, or rather, he won't let me. Like a little child that never wearies of peekaboo, again he says, "Help me!" Again he turns to rubber when I try, his laughter now maniacal. These buzzy times I take in the picture of us chilling out, cracking each other up. I joke that we should rename the place Pippi Longstocking Ranch, the way we indulge ourselves when the workday is done, acting like children who've been left alone to our own devices, ecstatic that no one is the boss of us, deriving added satisfaction from breaking rules left over from our past lives. You shouldn't smoke weed. You shouldn't watch too much TV. You should be using this time productively. Bob's antics infuse me with still more healing, and as I heal, I resume being delightful to others, something I have mostly lost the ability to do as back-to-back Peter-fueled depressions and breakup trauma consume me. No more scowling in the grocery store or ignoring toy-hurling, babbling babies as I came to do in my despondency. I wake up a little more each day to small joys all around me. Bob watches me emerge with pleasure. He never frames it as such, but sometimes I think my broken heart is the biggest restoration project he has ever undertaken. He seems just fine with that, stripping away my layers of sadness, self-doubt, and self-criticism, leading me slowly, delightfully, back to my happy pre-Peter self. Hey y'all, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my channel. And if you like this episode, I hope that you'll copy this link, share it with a friend, paint it on a wall, put it on your social media. That'd be great. Thanks a million. Take it easy.